Brace yourselves for a journey into the heart-wrenching annals of history, a voyage that demands your attention and echoes the untold stories of our ancestors. Welcome to Black and Powerful, a channel committed to unraveling the truth, igniting conversations, and rewriting the narrative of strength and resilience. Before we dive into the harrowing realities faced by our enslaved forebears, we urge you to hit that like button, share this video far and wide, and drop your thoughts in the comments section. Subscribe to Black and Powerful, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. This is a revelation you won't want to miss. In the wise words of an African proverb, when you don't know what killed your father, what killed your father will kill you. Today, we embark on a journey to enlighten our African brothers who may be unaware of the agonizing trials their ancestors faced during slavery. It's a stark reminder that knowledge is our greatest weapon against the shadows of history, and by understanding our past, we empower ourselves to shape a brighter future. Let's delve into the profound truths that history holds. Here are 10 shocking realities Black slaves faced. Number 10 will shock you most, so make sure to watch to the end. Number 1. Whipping. Whipping, a brutal and heinous practice, inflicted deep wounds on the souls of Black slaves. Imagine the pain etched into the stories of Harriet Jacobs and Gordon, known as Whipped Peter. Their experiences vividly portray the nightmarish reality of lashings, leaving not only physical scars but also haunting psychological imprints. As the whip cut through the air, it tore through the fabric of their lives, creating a painful symphony of suffering. These individuals endured the merciless wrath of their masters, their spirits indelibly marked by the cruel legacy of this inhumane practice. The echoes of their agony resonate through history, reminding us of the shocking depths of the hardships faced by Black slaves. The whip's cruel kiss was not just a punishment. It was a calculated assault on the humanity of Black slaves. The lashes bore the weight of centuries of oppression, each strike etching a painful narrative into the skin of those like Harriet Jacobs and Gordon. Beyond the physical torment, the psychological scars ran deep, as the crack of the whip echoed through the corridors of their minds long after the physical pain had subsided. Forced to endure lashings for perceived disobedience or the smallest infraction, Black slaves faced a constant specter of brutality. Harriet Jacobs, in her narrative, vividly described the helplessness that enveloped her during those agonizing moments, highlighting the dehumanizing impact of this grotesque practice. Gordon's haunting image, captured in a photograph as Whipped Peter, became a visceral testament to the brutality suffered. Each scar on his back told a story of unimaginable suffering, a silent scream against the injustices endured by countless others. These harrowing details paint a stark picture of the shocking realities Black slaves confronted, exposing the depths of cruelty woven into the fabric of their existence. Number 2. Mutilation. In the dark chapters of history, Black slaves endured the heart-wrenching horror of mutilation, a cruel tactic wielded by masters to instill fear and assert dominance. Imagine the agony as these individuals faced the gruesome prospect of disfigurement, their bodies marked by the scars of inhumane punishments. It wasn't just a physical assault. It was a deliberate assault on their humanity. These masters, devoid of empathy, stripped away more than flesh. They aimed to erase dignity and crush spirits. The scars on the bodies of these resilient souls told stories of unimaginable pain, creating a haunting narrative of the lengths to which power-hungry oppressors would go to maintain control. The brutality of mutilation served as a chilling reminder of the dehumanization Black slaves endured, a sinister strategy designed to break their will and suppress any flicker of resistance. Each mark etched into their skin was a silent scream, a testament to the depths of cruelty that stained an era with indelible sorrow. Let us remember this grim reality not just as a historical footnote, but as a stark testament to the strength and resilience of those who faced such unspeakable brutality. The legacy of this dark past must fuel our collective commitment to justice and equality, ensuring that the echoes of their suffering serve as a poignant call for a more humane and compassionate world. In the grim tapestry of history, the shocking reality faced by Black slaves extended to the grotesque specter of mutilation. Masters, devoid of compassion, wielded disfiguring punishments as a brutal means of control. Picture the harrowing scenes as individuals grappled with the horrifying prospect of losing not just their physical integrity, but the very essence of their humanity. Mutilation, with methods ranging from branding to limb amputation, was a calculated infliction of pain that transcended the physical realm. These scars, inflicted by heartless oppressors, were not merely marks on flesh but symbols of a systemic effort to strip away dignity and crush the resilient spirit of those in chains. The chilling narrative of these heinous acts unveils a saga of unimaginable suffering, leaving a lasting imprint on the collective consciousness. The deliberate disfigurement was not only a form of punishment but a strategic tool aimed at erasing identity, instilling terror, and quashing any ember of resistance that dared to ignite within the hearts of those enslaved. Number 3. Branding. Branding, a dehumanizing and heart-wrenching practice, etched permanent marks on the lives of black slaves, serving as a brutal symbol of ownership. For individuals like Harriet Jacobs and those unnamed in history, this ghastly act reinforced the chilling reality that they were considered nothing more than property. Picture the searing pain as hot irons met flesh, leaving scars that went beyond the physical. These branded marks, emblazoned on the bodies of the oppressed, carried a heavy burden of symbolism, each scar a testament to the cruel assertion of ownership. The psychological trauma inflicted during brandings lingered like a haunting shadow, a constant reminder of their subjugation and the harsh truth that they were seen as mere possessions. The anguish endured by those subjected to brandings transcended the physical realm, delving deep into the psyche of the enslaved. These permanent imprints became more than scars. They became silent witnesses to the inhumanity of an era. The shocking reality of brandings exposes the profound injustice that black slaves faced, where their very bodies became canvases for the cruel marks of ownership, leaving an indelible mark on their collective history. The branding iron, a sinister tool, seared not only flesh but the very essence of humanity. Harriet Jacobs and countless others bore the weight of these branded marks, each scar telling a story of stolen dignity and imposed inferiority. Beyond the physical agony, the symbolism of branding cast a long, dark shadow over the lives of black slaves. The act of branding reduced individuals to mere commodities, marked with a burning emblem of ownership. This degrading practice perpetuated a cycle of dehumanization, reminding slaves daily that their worth was measured not in humanity but in chattel. The psychological trauma inflicted during brandings endured, a silent scream against the injustice etched into their very beings. In the face of such brutality, the resilience of those subjected to brandings is nothing short of awe-inspiring. Their spirits, though scarred, refuse to be entirely extinguished. Harriet Jacobs' narrative and the untold stories of others reflect the indomitable strength that arose from the ashes of such dehumanizing acts. The shocking realities of brandings unveil a chapter of history where the quest for freedom battled against the cruel marks of oppression, leaving an indelible imprint on the collective memory of black slaves. Number 4. Smoked alive. The horrifying practice of smoking slaves alive, exemplified in the harrowing account of William W. Brown, unveils a chilling chapter of unspeakable cruelty. Brown's story stands as a stark reminder of the extremes masters went to instill fear and assert dominance over those they enslaved. Imagine the sheer terror as the flames danced around a human being, not to bring warmth, but to inflict unbearable agony. William W. Brown's experience goes beyond the realm of comprehension, a nightmarish reality that exposes the depths of inhumanity. The crackling embers echoed the screams of those subjected to this unthinkable torment. Smoking alive was a twisted display of power, a method employed to break spirits and crush any flicker of resistance. Brown's narrative sheds light on the unimaginable suffering endured by black slaves, facing a fate where the very air they breathed became laced with the acrid taste of fear. William W. Brown's story serves as a poignant reminder of the unfathomable cruelty that stained this dark period of history, where human beings were subjected to horrors that defy both reason and humanity. The cruel act of smoking slaves alive was a macabre method of torture, leaving an indelible mark on the collective memory of those who endured such unimaginable horrors. William W. Brown's account paints a vivid picture of the extremities masters would go to, wielding fire not as a source of warmth, but as a tool of torment. The smoke that enveloped the victims became a suffocating shroud, a harrowing testament to the brutality of those in power. Brown's narrative reveals a deliberate and sadistic strategy to break not just bodies but spirits, leaving scars that ran far deeper than the surface burns. The crackling flames mirrored the relentless cruelty inflicted upon black slaves, their very existence engulfed in the monstrous dance of fire. This method of torture went beyond physical pain. It sought to extinguish the very essence of resilience within the enslaved. The story of William W. Brown becomes a somber symbol of the unforgivable atrocities committed during a dark period in history. The shocking reality of being smoked alive serves as a haunting reminder that the fight for freedom was waged against unimaginable odds and an insidious darkness that seeped into the very air they breathed. Number 5. The Hogshead. The grim reality of Moses Roper's confinement within a hogshead, a large barrel, paints a stark picture of the inhumane treatment inflicted upon black slaves. Imagine being squeezed into a cramped, dark space, a suffocating prison that became a haunting symbol of the dehumanization endured by those subjected to such unimaginable conditions. The hogshead, meant for storing goods, became an agonizing cage for human souls. Moses Roper's experience unfolds like a chilling tale, where the air was thick with despair, and the darkness seemed to swallow any glimmer of hope. The once prominent symbol of trade became a vessel of torment, leaving scars on both body and spirit. In this confined space, the essence of humanity was stripped away, and the walls of the hogshead echoed with the silent cries of those trapped within. Roper's narrative serves as a poignant reminder of the lengths to which masters went to debase and degrade, reducing individuals to mere commodities stored away like inanimate objects. The hogshead, with its constricting embrace, symbolizes not just physical confinement but the crushing weight of oppression endured by black slaves. Moses Roper's experience within this dark barrel becomes a haunting testament to the dehumanizing reality that cast a long and chilling shadow over the lives of those held captive. Within the confines of the hogshead, Moses Roper's harrowing experience unveils layers of torment that extend beyond physical boundaries. The barrel, meant for goods, transformed into a nightmarish space where time seemed to stand still, and the air was heavy with suffering. Picture the claustrophobic darkness, where every breath was a struggle, and the hope for a brighter tomorrow felt like a distant memory. The hogshead became a symbol of the systematic dehumanization, where individuals were reduced to mere cargo, their humanity discarded and replaced by the cold, oppressive walls surrounding them. Roper's narrative delves into the psychological toll of such confinement, the relentless isolation, the haunting echoes of despair, and the constant struggle to retain a sense of self in the face of unimaginable degradation. The hogshead, once a vessel for goods, transformed into a vessel of collective agony, carrying the weight of countless souls trapped within its suffocating embrace. In recounting the experience within this dark barrel, Moses Roper's story becomes a visceral reminder of the cruel inventiveness employed to break the spirits of black slaves. The hogshead, with its chilling symbolism, stands as a testament to the resilience of those who endured its horrors and a stark indictment of a dark chapter in history where humanity was sacrificed for profit. Number 6. The shocking reality of suspending slaves beneath a cooking fire emerges as a cruel and heart-wrenching method of punishment, plunging individuals into excruciating pain and physical torment. Imagine being hung beneath the flames meant for cooking, a terrifying ordeal that reveals the darkest depths of degradation black slaves faced. The sheer cruelty of this punishment echoes through history, a chilling testament to the dehumanization suffered by those held captive. Picture the relentless agony as the flames lick the air, leaving the suspended individuals to bear the searing heat. The fire that should have brought warmth and nourishment became a merciless instrument of torture, a stark reminder of the unimaginable hardships inflicted upon black slaves. In the simplicity of this method, we confront the brutality woven into the fabric of their daily lives. The act of suspending slaves beneath a cooking fire speaks volumes about the deliberate cruelty meted out by those in power. This shocking reality serves as a haunting reminder that, for black slaves, even the basic elements of sustenance were turned into instruments of suffering, leaving scars that transcended the physical realm. This gruesome method of punishment, suspending slaves beneath a cooking fire, unveils a chapter of unimaginable horror in the history of black slavery. The intentional cruelty inherent in this practice exposes the calculated degradation that these individuals were forced to endure. Envision the excruciating pain as bodies hung beneath the flames, a deliberate act that turned the very source of sustenance into a weapon of torment. The heat and smoke not only seared the flesh but also served as a relentless assault on the spirit, shrouding the suspended individuals in a cloak of suffering. The shocking reality of this punishment speaks to the depths of dehumanization black slaves faced. It wasn't merely a form of discipline. It was a calculated strategy to crush any semblance of resistance. The physical torment inflicted beneath the cooking fire was matched by the psychological scars, a reminder that even the most basic aspects of life were weaponized against those who were enslaved. As we confront this chilling history, the suspended slaves beneath the cooking fire stand as silent witnesses to the brutality endured. This method becomes a symbol of the lengths oppressors went to break the spirits of those they considered property. The shocking reality of such punishments demands acknowledgement and reflection on the profound injustices embedded in the dark tapestry of slavery. Number 7. Demotion or sale. The distressing reality of demotion or sale, exemplified by George Washington's notorious reputation as a slaveholder, casts a grim shadow over the lives of black slaves. Picture a world where one's fate is determined not by merit or character but by the whims of a master, and you glimpse the heart-wrenching uncertainty that colored their existence. Slaves lived under the constant threat of being torn from their families, demoted to a lower status, or sold like mere commodities. George Washington's actions, once celebrated in history, reveal a dark truth, that even a founding father was entangled in the dehumanizing practice of treating individuals as property. This cruel reality added an unrelenting layer of fear to the lives of black slaves. The looming specter of demotion or sale meant living in perpetual anticipation of upheaval, a constant reminder that their worth was dictated not by their humanity but by the arbitrary decisions of those in power. As we confront this stark example from history, the emotional weight of demotion or sale becomes a poignant reminder of the profound injustices black slaves faced, where their very existence hung in the balance of others' capricious choices. The threat of demotion or sale, epitomized by George Washington's role as a slaveholder, unravels a tapestry of heartbreak and uncertainty in the lives of black slaves. Imagine the constant dread of not knowing if the next day would bring demotion to a lower status or the agony of being sold away from family and familiar surroundings. George Washington, a figure revered in history, stands as a stark reminder that even those held in high regard were implicated in the ruthless business of human ownership. Slaves were treated as commodities, their destinies subject to the whims of their masters. The emotional toll on black slaves was immense. The fear of separation from loved ones, the uncertainty of their status, and the perpetual vulnerability to being bought and sold were constant companions in their daily lives. This cruel reality created a profound sense of helplessness, where individuals were reduced to mere possessions, their autonomy and agency stripped away. The shocking truth of demotion or sale serves as a poignant entry point into the wider narrative of the dehumanization endured by black slaves. Their lives were shaped by the constant threat of upheaval, a haunting reminder of a system that treated human beings as disposable assets. The emotional and human cost of this brutal practice reverberates through history, demanding reflection on the depths of cruelty embedded in the institution of slavery. Number 8. Public burning. The chilling reality of public burning unfolds as a gruesome spectacle designed to instill fear and enforce compliance among black slaves. Picture a horrifying scene where the flames dance in the open, not to warm hearts, but to cast shadows of terror upon the oppressed. In this cruel theater of degradation, slaves stood as silent witnesses to the agony of their fellow human beings. The searing heat, the acrid scent of burning flesh, all served as a visceral reminder of the brutality woven into the fabric of their existence. Public burning wasn't just a physical torment. It was a calculated assault on the collective spirit of the enslaved. Imagine the heavy silence that hung in the air as the flames engulfed a human being. Slaves, like unwilling spectators, were forced to internalize the horror, their own dehumanization reflected in the torment of their comrades. This twisted display of power sought not only to inflict pain but also to shatter any semblance of unity and resistance among the oppressed. The emotional weight of public burning extends beyond the immediate physical suffering. It resonates as a haunting chapter in the history of black slavery, where the very air became thick with the palpable dread of witnessing and experiencing the unimaginable. The silent screams of those subjected to this brutality echo through time, demanding that we confront the depths of cruelty imposed upon the silent witnesses of their own dehumanization. Public burning, a harrowing chapter in the lives of black slaves, transcended the physical torment to become a psychological weapon, leaving indelible scars on both the victims and the witnesses. This gruesome spectacle wasn't just about inflicting pain. It was a calculated strategy to enforce submission through fear. As the flames roared, slaves were thrust into a nightmarish theater where their fellow human beings became symbols of the relentless power wielded by those in control. The oppressive heat, the crackling of burning wood, and the anguished cries mingled to create an atmosphere of terror where compliance was not a choice but a survival instinct. For the silent witnesses, the psychological toll was profound. The horror of seeing someone burn in public became a collective trauma, a shared experience that heightened the constant fear of retribution. This deliberate display of brutality sought to break spirits and reinforce the notion that resistance would be met with unimaginable consequences. Public burning stands as a haunting reminder of the systemic dehumanization endured by black slaves. The emotional weight of this shocking reality forces us to confront the depths of cruelty inherent in a system that used violence as a tool of control. The scars, both seen and unseen, bear witness to the profound injustices inflicted upon individuals forced to endure the gruesome theater of their own dehumanization. Number 9. Long-term chaining. The cruel reality of long-term chaining, exemplified by Madame Delphine Lalaurie's sadistic pleasure, exposes the deep suffering endured by black slaves. Picture a scene where individuals are bound by chains not just physically but also psychologically, trapped in a nightmarish existence. Madame Lalaurie's sadistic delight in chaining slaves unveils the horror of prolonged confinement. Imagine the relentless weight of iron pressing into the flesh, restricting movement, and degrading individuals to the status of mere property. This was more than a physical restraint. It was a calculated assault on the very essence of their humanity. Slaves, victims of long-term chaining, grappled not only with the physical anguish but also the psychological torment of being treated as less than human. Stripped of their basic rights, they endured a daily existence where freedom was a distant memory and the clinking of chains became a haunting soundtrack to their lives. In this emotional tapestry of despair, the sadistic pleasure taken by Madame Lalaurie becomes a chilling reflection of the dehumanization endemic to long-term chaining. The chains, heavy with the weight of oppression, tell a story of endurance in the face of unimaginable cruelty. The shocking reality of this practice demands acknowledgement and remembrance of the profound injustices suffered by those who were chained, both physically and in the annals of history. Long-term chaining, as manifested through Madame Delphine Lalaurie's sadistic actions, plunges us into a harrowing chapter of black slavery where chains became not just physical restraints but instruments of profound dehumanization. Picture the agony as the cold, unyielding metal bit into the skin, leaving enduring marks that mirrored the scars etched into the collective memory of those who endured long-term chaining. For slaves, it was more than a loss of physical freedom. It was a stripping away of dignity and humanity, a relentless assault on their very sense of self. Madame Lalaurie's sadistic pleasure in chaining slaves reflects the systemic cruelty woven into the fabric of slavery. The chains weren't merely links of iron. They were symbols of power and control, wielded to break spirits and crush any flicker of resistance. In the confines of this brutal practice, individuals were reduced to objects, devoid of agency and basic human rights. The emotional toll of long-term chaining was profound. The clinking of chains echoed not only in physical spaces but also in the collective consciousness of those subjected to this inhumane treatment. The haunting reality of being restrained for extended periods demands a reckoning with the depths of cruelty inflicted upon black slaves, who whose endurance in the face of such brutality speaks to the indomitable spirit that persisted even in the darkest times. Number 10. Forced reproduction. The grotesque reality of forced reproduction delves into the darkest corners of black slavery, where human beings were subjected to unspeakable horrors in the name of increasing their master's human property. Imagine a world where mothers and fathers faced the agonizing trauma of being exploited solely for the purpose of producing more slaves. Forced reproduction wasn't about love or family. It was a cold and calculated violation of the most intimate aspects of an individual's life. Slaves endured the unspeakable pain of having their bodies commodified, their most personal choices stripped away in the ruthless pursuit of profit. The trauma inflicted upon mothers and fathers echoed through the generations, creating a haunting legacy of suffering that persisted long after the chains were broken. Families were torn apart, and the bonds of kinship were brutally severed in the name of an insidious system that treated human beings as nothing more than tools for labor and profit. In this emotional landscape of despair, forced reproduction becomes a chilling reminder of the depths of dehumanization endured by black slaves. The scars left by this grotesque practice linger in the collective memory, demanding acknowledgement and reflection on the profound injustices inflicted upon those whose very existence was twisted into a tool for the perpetuation of a brutal institution. The wicked practice of forced reproduction laid bare the inhumane calculus of slavery, where black individuals were reduced to mere instruments of procreation for the profit-driven desires of their masters. Envision a world where intimate choices about family and love were ruthlessly overridden, and the sanctity of parenthood was desecrated for economic gain. Mothers and fathers endured the unfathomable trauma of being exploited, their bodies subjected to violations that left enduring emotional and physical scars. The offspring born from this forced union entered a world where their very existence was rooted in the calculated cruelty of a system that viewed human lives as expendable commodities. The repercussions of forced reproduction reverberated through generations, creating a complex tapestry of pain and suffering that persisted long after the shackles were removed. Families were torn apart, kinship bonds shattered, and the very fabric of human connections unraveled in the relentless pursuit of increasing human chattel. Forced reproduction stands as a testament to the systemic dehumanization at the core of black slavery. It isn't just a historical atrocity but a lasting scar on the collective consciousness, demanding acknowledgement of the profound injustices that shaped the lives of those forced into a life of exploitation and anguish. The emotional weight of this practice underscores the urgent need to confront the enduring legacy of suffering that persists in the descendants of those who were ruthlessly exploited for the sake of a perverse economic calculus. As we draw the curtain on this exploration of our shared history, let the weight of the stories linger in your hearts. The tales of our enslaved ancestors are not merely echoes from the past. They are the threads that weave the fabric of our present. Now, more than ever, we understand the gravity of the African saying, "When you don't know what killed your father, what killed your father will kill you." In closing, we implore you to continue this crucial conversation. Share this video, engage in discussions, and let the stories resonate. By subscribing to Black and Powerful, and turning on that bell notification, you ensure that you won't miss the forthcoming chapters of our shared history. Through knowledge, empathy, and unity, we empower ourselves to break the shackles of ignorance and build a future that honors the strength and resilience of our ancestors. Together, we are